Alright, so some of this should be a little bit of a review. I think we have done some graphing in 6th grade. But before we start graphing, we have coordinates. Okay, so this whole thing is my graph. And then I have four quadrants. Whew, it's hard to say. What makes those 4 quadrants? What is dividing that graph into 4 different quadrants? Noah? Yeah, you have your y-axis here and your x-axis here, and that's dividing your graph into 4 quadrants. Okay? Does anybody know how to number those quadrants? Destin? What would be number 1, quadrant 1? You know? Top right? Yeah. So that's quadrant 1, and we're going to write them in using Roman numerals. So what do you think quadrant 2 is? Is it top left or is it bottom right?
Top left.
Top left, so we're going counterclockwise. Okay. So then that means bottom left is quadrant 3, and then the bottom right is quadrant 4, which is an IV in Roman numerals. Okay. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 counterclockwise. Okay. So when I ask you to name what quadrant a point is, that's what you're telling me if it's in 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. Okay, so let's look at our ordered pairs. So number 1, we're trying to find the ordered pair of A. First off, what does an ordered pair look like? What comma what, Jet? It's your x coordinate first, and then your y coordinate second. So it's x comma y. Can y'all see that? So order matters. Okay, that first number in your coordinate in your ordered pair is telling you whether you're going left or right, and the second number is telling you if you're going up or down, based on whether it's negative or positive. Okay. What is the point 0, 0? Does anybody remember what that's called? Right there in the middle of everything? I heard it. Origin. 0, 0 is called your origin. Alright, so if we look at number 1, which is point A. Point A is right here. So in order to get there, I'm starting at my origin every time. And my x comes first, so that means I'm going left or right first. Which one is it in this case? Left. So I'm going left 2, which is a negative 2. And then I have to go up 2, which is a positive 2. So my ordered pair for A is negative 2, 2. Alright, what about the point B, way down here? Am I going left or right? I'm going right 3. And then I have to go down how many? 7. So, since it's down, it's negative. Right was positive. So it is 3, negative 7. What about C? Jet.
0.
Not quite. You're close. Which axis is it on? Is it going on the X or the Y? Jorge. The X. So Jorge, what do you think it is? Good. It's opposite. It's negative 4 because I start at 0 and I'm going left on that x-axis. So my x point is negative 4. And then I'm not going up or down at all. So that's why it's 0. Okay. You do have to write the 0. You can't just write negative 4 because the negative 4 doesn't tell me much. Okay. Correct. Alright, 4, I've got the point D. What is that? Yep.
3, 5.
Yep, it is positive 3, up 5. So that is 3, 5. And what about E? No, let's not do E. Let's do F.
Yes.
So number 6. Addison.
You have back 6 and down 3, which is negative 6.
Yeah, so left 6, which is negative, down 3, which is negative as well. So negative 6, negative 3. So if you see an ordered pair that is all positive, so positive x, positive y, that means it's in the first quadrant. If it's a negative x and a positive y, that means you're in the second quadrant. If they are both negative, you would be in the third. And then if your x is positive but y is negative, it would put you down here in the fourth. Okay. Questions so far? Alright, I'm going to skip those other ones because you're going to finish those later. So the second section, it says graph and label each point on the coordinate plane, and then name the quadrant in which each point is located. Alright, so number 11, it says the point K, which is 1, 0. So 1 is my x coordinate, so that means I'm going right 1. And am I going up or down?
No.
No, so it is right there on my x-axis. It's point K, so you have to label it. So you got to put that K right next to it. And it also tells me to name which quadrant it's located in. So what quadrant is this in? Jet. 1. So what makes you think it's in 1 and it's not in 4? What do you think, Jenny? Okay. Can it be on something other than just a quadrant? Kaya? Addison?
The origin.
Origin 0, 0, right? It's 1, 0. On hell? No? Camden?
2 above the origin.
No.
Teachers and students, pardon this interruption. I need all football players and athletic trainers that are not in 7th period PE to meet Coach Monday in the cafeteria at this time. That's all football players and athletic trainers that are not in 7th period PE to meet Coach Monday in the cafeteria at this time.
Rex, what you think? Yeah. It's not in a quadrant because there's nothing telling you that it could be in quadrant 1 or quadrant 4 because it is on that dividing line, which is my x-axis. Does that make sense? So if you're naming a point, it can either be in all 4 quadrants, it can be at the origin, or it can be on your x-axis or your y-axis. Okay. All right, what about number 12, 0, 2? Am I going left or right any? No. Am I going up or down? Yes. So I'm still starting at 0 and I'm going just up 2. And that is point L. So where does it lie? Okay. Y-axis. All right, what about point M? Negative 2, 4. So the negative 2 tells me I'm going left 2. Positive 4 is up 2. That is point M. And what quadrant does that lie in? Okay. Good. The second quadrant. And what about number 14? The negative 5, negative 4. What quadrant is it in before you even plot it? Can you tell? All right. It's going to be in this third quadrant because both of your numbers are negative. Okay. So I'm going left 5, down 4. Questions on plotting those points and naming where they are? Okay. This next graph, I want you to look at it closely and tell me what you think is different about the first one we were just working on. Madison. Yeah. So that's, does anybody remember what that's called? How you count by? Jet? You're counting by twos, which is called what? Starts with an S. What? No. Your scale. Remember that? You're counting by twos, which is the scale of your graph. Okay. So nothing changes. You just have to be careful. If it gives you an odd number, so the 0.32, that means your 3 is going to be obviously in between the 2 and the 4. So it's not going to be on a line. It'll be in between. Okay? So just pay attention to that when you're plotting those points. All right. Flip over to the very back where there's number lines. All right, it says graph and label each set of numbers on the number line. Be sure to write an appropriate scale. What we were just talking about, okay? Remember to always include 0 on your graph or on your number line. I'm going to look at my numbers first, and I've got -2, -7, -4. So that's going to help me determine how to label my number line. So I know that I have to go all the way to the left, -7. Does that mean I need to put my 0 right here? No, because I wouldn't be able to fit it on the graph. So I want to be able to count and make sure that I can fit -7 on there. So I'm going to put my 0 here. Yes, ma'am? Yeah, it doesn't matter where it goes as long as you can fit all of your numbers that you're asked to graph on there. So I'm just going to count positive, 1, 2, and then negative. Then you're asked to graph those numbers. So I'm graphing -2. That means I am just putting a point right there at -2. A lot of students want to put it on top. Don't put it on top. You're putting it directly on that horizontal line. Okay. So then I'm plotting -7 and -4. That is all you're doing. So make sure you have an appropriate scale. Bless you. And make sure you're plotting all points that are given. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Any questions? All right, you are finishing out this packet for classwork homework. You should be able to get a pretty good bit of it done in class if you work hard. On the back of the first page, the word problems, you do not have to graph those points. If you need to graph it in order to figure out the question, you can use this graph that they gave you on the left. Okay. So 1 through 4, you don't have to draw your own graph. You don't have to graph. It's just asking you about coordinates and like what coordinates in or how many directions left and right do you have to go. So you don't have to plot them, but if it helps you to plot them, just plot them over here. It doesn't matter because you're just using what they gave you already for those problems. So use that graph if you need to. Don't go through all the trouble of drawing your own graph and all that craziness.